In 2019, in a fenced-off area of the Australian desert, scientists opened small boxes and released 50 long-eared, pointed-nosed kangaroos. They looked too frail to survive. Conversely, the air was filled with anticipation as ecologists eagerly stayed up until dawn, monitoring their fragile movements via radio-controlled tracking devices. Initial anxieties about the unfamiliar environment quickly dissipated. After only a few days of observation, the kangaroos were diligently digging burrows up to 3 meters deep in the desert sand. Their frantic digging delighted the project team. They're actually following every step of the plan to save the desert. Despite some disappointment when the signal was lost, the project achieved a 97% survival rate in the first month. Not stopping there, their numbers truly exploded. By 2026, they had increased by 9,584%, expanding the safe zone from 110 to over 9,500 hectares. Simultaneously, 6 other Bilby release projects also saw a surge to 5,330 individuals. This is a rare success for Australia. How did one small mammal single-handedly revive desert biodiversity? And can we save deserts elsewhere? We have many questions about this story, so stay tuned to find out the full story. Many people assume deserts are barren lands, especially in arid countries like Australia, but that's not true. They've never been barren. Seeds are still carried by birds, wind, and animals. Tree roots remain deep underground, waiting for a little moisture to sprout. Insects, fungi, microorganisms, and other tiny organisms survive in cooler layers of soil close enough to the surface to avoid being buried forever. They all await intervention to revive. If this were Australia a long time ago, mammals like bilbies, bettongs, bandicoots, and booties would have done this. They lived and created life. That's why the Australian desert used to be so teeming with life. Sadly, they became easy prey for feral cats and foxes. They are very beautiful animals, but they are very vulnerable. It's as if they have the words, "Eat me," written on their foreheads, said professor and scientist Richard Kingsford. Urbanization, livestock, bushfires, and habitat loss continue to put immense pressure on them. According to the Australian Wildlife Society, of the 85 mammal species, excluding bats, 11 are extinct and 6 only survive on offshore islands. By now, it becomes clear why Australia needs the bilby back. But why focus solely on bilby recovery when so many other species need recovery? The answer lies in their unique ability to regenerate. For example, native predators like the western kangaroo depend on abundant food sources, safe shelter, and a stable food chain to survive. If that ecosystem remains disrupted, bringing them back too soon can be risky, costly, and difficult to manage. But the bilby is different. Restoring a bilby population helps restart a dormant ecosystem. A bettong kangaroo can move 3 tons of soil in a year, says Professor Mike Letnick, a scientist at UNSW. If you want to know more details, keep reading. Before invasive species pushed the bilby to the edge of extinction, this small desert marsupial once lived across more than 70% of mainland Australia. Today, it survives in only about 20% of its former range. The scientists hope for the best for them. They chose Mallee Cliffs National Park, a strictly protected reserve, and specifically created a massive dedicated fence stretching 37 kilometers and 1.8 meters high to minimize danger to them. This caution is not unwarranted because, as Professor Richard Kingsford, director of the UNSW Center for Ecological Sciences, once warned, if just one feral cat slips through the net and stays inside, the bilby kangaroo population will have no chance of survival. To completely eliminate feral cats, Dr. Catherine Mosby and her colleagues are testing a new technological weapon at Sturt National Park, a smart grooming trap. This device uses sensors and cameras to accurately identify the shape of feral cats as they approach out of curiosity, then immediately activates a system that sprays a toxic gel onto their fur. Taking advantage of the cat's instinct to lick their fur to clean themselves, the trap causes them to ingest the poison without needing to scatter bait into the environment, minimizing the risk to other creatures. However, even without feral cats and red foxes, the area is not completely safe. Although the invasive species will be relocated, these 2 fenced-off areas will not. It had to be a sanctuary completely free of predators. The western marsupial, yes, a native species, roughly the size of a cat, and the ferocious crested deer. The cruel nature of the environment forced scientists to accept the presence of these predators. They were a devastating but essential link in maintaining ecological balance, preventing the bilby population from reproducing too rapidly to the point of depleting food resources and driving each other to mass starvation. Survival in the Mallee Cliffs Fortress, therefore, remained a fierce daily battle for survival for the bilby. As mentioned, this is an ambitious project on a large scale, requiring a huge number of personnel, machinery, and equipment, and they need funding to sustain it long term. Although the New South Wales state government has invested over $40 million, that's still not enough. It is at this point that Bilby proved why it was the only choice. With its large, comical ears and distinctive long nose, this adorable nocturnal animal has become a cultural icon through the image of Easter Bilby. Every Easter, when people choose to buy Bilby-shaped chocolates instead of rabbit-shaped ones, it's like they're choosing a native species and rejecting an invasive species. According to the Queensland government, for every box of Daryl Leah chocolate Bilby sold at Woolworths supermarkets, 20 cents will be donated to the Save the Bilby Fund to support research. Major brands like Hayes Chocolates also donate revenue to the Rabbit Free Australia organization. Returning to the bilby's revival, this 10-year conservation initiative is a large-scale alliance between the University of UNSW, Ecological Horizons, the New South Wales government, and the Taronga Conservation Society. In fact, when the first 50 bilbies reached the boundaries of Mallee Cliffs National Park, they were accompanied by other residents: termite-eating numbats, small Michelian jerboas, and carnivorous western quolls, all released to restore the top of the food chain. The Wild Deserts Project is not simply about bringing mammals back to the park. It aims to restore the degraded desert ecosystem with the help of the animals that once lived there, Kingsford said. Dr. Catherine Mosby shared that this is the perfect combination of cutting-edge scientific research and field conservation. In just 6 months, ABC News reported that the bilbies from Thistle Island and the Scotia Reserve had produced a second generation. After 18 months, the initial population of 50 individuals had exploded to over 120. However, surviving and reproducing in a confined space was only the first step. To truly transform the desert landscape, the bilbies had to venture into the wider world. From 2021 to 2023, the project entered a critical phase. 107 bilbies were released from their small enclosures to freely roam in a 9,570-hectare safe zone. To truly understand their effectiveness, we need to grasp that bilbies are nocturnal creatures. During the day, they hide deep underground to escape the scorching heat. But when night falls, the great work officially begins. Bilbies use their front claws to dig the soil for insects, larvae, tubers, seeds, and fungi. Each hole initially serves as a foraging mark, but in arid regions, it acts as a miniature ecological trap. In the burning heat of the desert, these holes are a marvel. Their effectiveness lies in their ability to retain what the desert usually loses. When the rare rains fall, the water doesn't immediately wash away from the compacted soil, but instead collects in the small depressions and seeps deeper. When the wind carries seeds, dry leaves, and organic matter across the bare ground, many things get trapped in the dug holes. Studies of burrowing animals in Australia have also shown that bilby and batong's burrows can be deeper, wider, and remove more soil than those of European rabbits or sand monitor lizards, while retaining decaying leaves, seeds, and biodegradable carbon better. This doesn't mean bilby instantly turned the desert into a forest. But in a place lacking water, organic matter, and seed holding points, thousands of small burrows can create thousands of opportunities for survival. While bilby is still primarily monitored within fenced conservation areas, its story has begun to move beyond surveillance cameras and population growth reports. In the remote corner country where the borders of New South Wales, South Australia, and Queensland meet, bilby's revival journey is being incorporated into community education. In the remote town of Taboobara, around 25 children from outlying farms performed for nearly 100 spectators in the local hall. The children didn't tell a fictional story, but recreated Bilby's journey through the character Tilby the Bilby. From being driven to near extinction by competition for food from wild rabbits, feral cats, and red foxes to being brought back to the Wild Deserts Reserve in Sturt National Park. According to ABC News, this activity was more than just a performance. Children also participated in role-playing workshops, learning about the movements of native animals, recognizing the characteristics of bilby and quoll, and even learning math by observing the asymmetrical spots on quoll's body. After 12 months of collaboration between Wild Deserts and the Big Sky Stories organization, the story was developed into the picture book Little Tilby Bilby. Ecologist Rebecca West tearfully shared that her greatest motivation was for future generations to not only know Bilby's name through books, but to be able to proudly recount its revival in their own voices. But the story does not end at Mallee Cliffs. Remember, we mentioned earlier that this isn't just happening at Mallee Cliffs, but at 6 other reserves as well. Australia is attempting something far more ambitious by testing whether this tiny animal can help reshape entire desert ecosystems. At the 5,800-hectare Pilliga Reserve, scientists have demonstrated that bilbies can successfully return to semi-arid dry forests. Meanwhile, at the Wild Deserts Project in Sturt National Park, conservationists are taking an even bolder gamble, training them to live in the wild. In 2024 and 2025, they released 305 bilbies into a 10,000-hectare buffer zone where they will live alongside extremely low feral cat populations. The goal wasn't to blindly throw them into danger, but to awaken their natural fear, hone their survival instincts, and prepare them to face the real risks of the wild. But the desert is never predictable. At New Haven Wildlife Sanctuary in Australia's Northern Territory, the Australian Wildlife Conservancy has witnessed the classic boom and bust cycle of the outback. When good rains returned, insects increased, seeds germinated, and the drought cycle was briefly broken. Across AWC's 6 reserves, bilby numbers rose dramatically from around 3,300 individuals in 2025 to about 5,000. 300 inches, 2,026. When the rain comes, bilbies boom. But when drought returns, their numbers will almost certainly fall again. Nature does not grow in a straight line, and scientists have to accept that harsh truth. The Bilby Conservation Foundation understands this better than anyone. At Currawinja National Park in Queensland, the project began with just 36 bilby kangaroos in a 2,500-hectare fenced reserve. At one point, the number grew to over 400. But then, the historic floods of 2010 damaged the fence, allowing predators to invade and decimate the kangaroo population in a short time, nearly destroying years of hard work. That moment reminded conservationists that, in nature, there are no permanent victories. Still, they did not give up. By 2022, the reintroduced population had recovered to more than 300 bilbies, and by 2025, the team had begun turning an even bigger vision into reality, releasing 150 bilbies into completely wild country. Together with support from sanctuaries such as Scotia and Yucamura, these projects are creating a stronger biological safety network for the bilby. The ultimate goal of this continent-wide campaign is not simply to rescue one animal from extinction, it is to restore natural processes and heal some of Australia's most damaged landscapes. So now let's return to the original question. We've seen that bilbies can truly change the dry skin of the desert. But if we look at this idea from another angle, could other countries do something similar? Take the United States, for example, a country with vast desert regions of its own. The answer is not to bring bilbies to America. That would be dangerous, because bilbies are native to Australia. But the United States has its own desert engineers. In the dry lands of the western and southwestern United States, kangaroo rats also dig burrows, store seeds, and change the seed bank in the soil. The U.S. Department of Agriculture describes their digging, foraging, and shallow seed-burying behavior as one reason they are considered keystone species or ecosystem engineers in western drylands. In the Mojave Desert, another example is the desert tortoise. These animals dig burrows to escape heat and drought, but those burrows do not serve only them. According to the National Park Service, desert tortoises can retreat underground during long dry periods to reduce water loss and save energy. These cooler burrows can also become vital shelters for other creatures trying to survive in an extreme environment, and that is the real lesson from the bilby. It is not about releasing the same species everywhere. The lesson Australia offers is this: do not wait until ecosystem engineers disappear before realizing how much the land depends on them. The return of the bilby shows us something powerful. When humans give nature the space to work again, ecological recovery can begin in ways we never expected. So what do you think about Australia's remarkable effort to turn the story around for the bilby? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next inspiring story from the natural world.